We're constantly told that the modern internet allows us to maintain thousands of connections. But if you look at the architecture of the human brain, you realize our biology simply cannot support a boundless digital network. Anthropological research shows that human relationships scale in highly predictable cognitive tiers. We have a hard biological ceiling of about 150 meaningful contacts, a concept known as Dunbar's number. This diagram shows how an application called DunbarrioSolo physically translates that biological limit into its interface. Instead of an endless feed, it forces you to categorize your contacts into specific tiered rings, mirroring the exact scale of human cognitive limits, from a core of 5 up to an absolute limit of 150. Here, the circle architecture map illustrates this specific scaling structure. You start with a highly protected inner core of just 3 circles. As your practice grows, you scale outward layer by layer, all the way up to that cognitive ceiling of 16 circles. By forcing our digital tools to obey these strict biological constraints, we strip away the noise. We prevent social burnout and build a sustainable foundation for our relational health. A 2025 study by Lee and colleagues revealed a fascinating gap in how we view our social lives. We hold an intuitive theory about how our relationships are prioritized, but our actual energy allocation often tells a very different story. This image highlights what researchers call the middle circle anomaly. The glowing ring represents the layer of roughly 5 to 15 people in your life. The data shows that relational energy distribution is profoundly asymmetrical, with individuals pouring disproportionate effort into this specific understudied zone. This middle layer acts as the vital connective tissue for our social health. By tracking specific acts of care, the ledger creates an empirical mirror of social investment over time, surfacing patterns in this layer that are typically invisible to modern social tools. Without an objective map showing exactly where our emotional energy actually flows, these critical social layers can slowly decay simply from neglect. To correct that asymmetrical energy flow, DunbarrioSolo takes the invisible acts of care we perform every day and makes them visible and quantifiable. This is the ledger screen. It logs your writing streaks and manual connection events, like a phone call or a visit, generating an empirical activity heat map of your real-world social investment over time. The core of this system is a daily intervention called the Embrace. It's an expressive writing exercise built directly on the clinically validated Pennebaker paradigm, which links emotional journaling to measurable improvements in physical and mental health. But staring at a blank page and writing into the void creates psychological friction. To solve this, the application borrows from Donald Winnicott's theory of transitional objects to provide a sense of safety. This illustration shows how the app uses animal mascots to act as a secure bridge. These characters serve as proxies, a holding environment carrying the heavy emotional weight of your real-world relationships, completely removing the risk of actual judgment. Interacting with a digital proxy lowers the barrier to processing difficult feelings. It creates necessary scaffolding for people who might not naturally express their emotions. To generate meaningful insights from these entries, the system requires you to log precise emotional coordinates during every interaction. On the left side of this training screen is the Plutchik mood dial. Its tactile 8-segment design forces you to make a conscious semantic choice between highly specific emotional labels. On the right is the Energizer. This physical slider requires you to manually quantify the intensity of your feeling, charging your entry from 0 all the way to 100. Every Sunday, an AI synthesis engine ingests your moods, your energy levels, and your ledger data, processing it securely through this central mechanism. This narrative portrait identifies your dominant archetype and connection style across relational tiers. In the bottom right, the growth edge strips away generic flattery to offer one honest, behaviorally specific reflection on your relational blind spots. Viewing an objective summary of these weekly patterns prevents us from ignoring our own behavioral tendencies. Because pattern awareness is a core mechanism of self-regulation, the weave acts as a functional tool for active emotional mindfulness. None of this deep reflection is possible without the platform's foundational premise, radical privacy. As this infographic outlines, the application features 0 public social graphs, no public feeds, and no performance metrics. An emotional practice cannot happen safely if you feel you are being watched. This diagram shows the system's ephemeral AI architecture. Once your private text is processed by the edge function and a response is generated, it triggers an immediate memory wipe, completely deleting the data payload. This settings menu reinforces your absolute data sovereignty. You dictate custom retention limits for your journal text, and a single button allows you to irreversibly hard delete all your credentials, architecture, and progression data. Accepting biological limits, tracking relational energy, and securing it in a vault creates a highly functional framework for connection. These mechanics turn relational wellness into a measurable, private, and sustainable practice.